Hello everyone, this is Last Life here, and I'm going to show you a build on a Shatter Mesmer. I'm not going to guide this with gameplay, I'm just going to go through the traits and build and show you how to use the build and so forth. The reason why I'm not going to do a game is because I am limited on time, and I don't have much time during the day to give you the full guide and gameplay along with the video. So I hope you still enjoy this video, and I'm just going to show you the basics on how to operate this build. I'm going to go through the PvP build, and I'm going to show you what build and sigils you need to be running. For the Greatsword, we're going to be using Sigil of Air and Sigil of Fire, so we get those critical bursts that we need. Sword, we're going to be using Sigil of Air. Torch, we're going to be using Sigil of Energy, so we can get that extra weapon swap while in combat. For the rune, we're going to be using the Rune of the Pack that provides power, swiftness, and power and swiftness. And the Marauder Amulet, which provides power, precision, vitality, and ferocity. Along to the traits, we're going to use Domination, Chaos, and Dueling. For Domination, we're going to be using Powered Illusions. Illusions deal more damage, so when we summon illusions or clones, they attack and they do more damage. Shattered Construction, Shatter skills also remove a boon on hit. So part of the Shatter Mesmer is removing boons from a enemy. So this removes one boon when struck with an attack. And then Power Block interrupts dealing damage, inflicts weakness. Enemy skills that you interrupt have an increased cooldown, so it allows you to interrupt and deal damage and inflict weakness on enemies. For Chaos, we're going to be using Illusionary Defense. Take reduced damage for each illusion you have in the world. So the more illusions you have, the more decoys you have, the less damage you take, obviously. And the more clones that you can make, the stronger your shatters are. Mirror of Anguish, when disabled by stun, daze, knocked back, pull, knocked, sink, float, fear, taunt, or launched, mirrored, and displayed effects back to its source. This is a good spell because it dazes and stuns the target, and then it can possibly launch and do pretty much everything it says. And it also fears. This one, pretty much just when you interrupt a foe, you gain boons from it, and you gain might and whatnot. And then also these conditions you see are applied to the target, so you get a little bit of condition damage off with this trait. For Dueling, we're gonna use Decoy. Gain stealth and summon illusion to attack your foe. So without this trait line, when you use your decoy, it won't summon illusion. So if we change it, it won't summon illusion with it. The reason why, so we can get those illusions up, and it makes our shatter stronger. Blind foes around you whenever you use a shatter skill. So when you use a shatter skill or any type of shatter skill, you infect the enemy with blindness. And you can blind up to 5 targets, which that is very helpful. 3-second blindness can affect a lot out of a fight. Create a clone at your current position when you dodge. So this is another good one for making clones. Every time you dodge, you gain a clone while in combat. So you have to be in combat in order for that to work. So if I hit, you can see that we created an illusion which died very quickly, but it still helps. And that's pretty much the basic on traits and specializations. I'm going to show you a little bit of just a little bit of dueling here with these NPCs. We can either, well, if I can get one that doesn't stolen on me. We'll go over here to the Necromancer. This is just your auto attack. This is a mirror blade, which then throws an illusionary greatsword that bounces between targets, so you can hit multiple targets at once, and it deals a good amount of damage. The more vulnerability that you have stacked on the target, the more damage you can do. Mind Stab, thrust your greatsword into the ground, damaging foes and removing 1 boon. So this is another good spell to shatter targets with. That removes boons, because your main objective is to be able to remove boons from the target, not necessarily do a bunch of damage. That's the point of a Shatter Mesmer. This creates a chasm that uses a whirling attack to damage and cripple foes. So, if I can demonstrate. So what you do, you would hit, and you can see that we're creating good amounts of illusions. And then when you have all your illusions out, you can either choose between Shatter, which that works the best. I like using Mind Rack. And then you can also use Decoy to down enemies, to keep them from blocking your down or your finish. Along with Blink. Most Mesmer builds have Blink. You just allows you to target to locations that usually can't reach unless you use Blink. It allows you to get to target location quicker. And also, it's really effective when you're playing in like Silent Storm or whatnot, where you can, or any map where you can teleport onto a ledge to get to a point quicker or to get a decap quicker. So that's a neat little trick. The only other class that can do that is the Thief. So the Mesmer and Thieves are the only class that can blink. Your Mind Invisibility. When allies are down, you can use this to make all of your allies invisible for 5 seconds. So this is a really good spell to use when you are healing somebody, or when you're finishing somebody so they can't attack you. But that's sort of a waste to do it that way, to use your elite on a guy when you can use it for something that's actually worth using it for. Your Decoy does, and also breaks stuns. So if you are trapped by an entangled from the ranger, for an example, like if he uses his elite spell Entangled, you can use Decoy and it will break that stun and also make you go invisible. We're going to do Sword Torch. Now this pretty much is just your auto attack that inflicts vulnerability. Illusionary Leap, which you use Illusionary Leap, and then when you attack, you can teleport to the target location and use Blade Fury. It's kind of like the Greatsword when it comes to a hammer, or not a hammer, but a Greatsword Warrior. It had the 1,000 Blades, I think is what it's called. Then we use F1. This spell is just another spell that you can use to go invisible so you can get out of combat. And it also causes burning and blindness to the foe when you use it next to them. And it does a little bit of damage as well, so that's always nice. This is a good spell. It creates an illusion that burns foes and grants fury to allies. So when you use this while in combat, you then can stealth, create illusions, it creates a couple more illusions that help you, and it also causes burning when they attack. That's why I like using torch, is because you can create more illusions if you don't. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I wouldn't mind if you give this a like. It's just a guide on how the build works, not gameplay. So most of my videos I do guide and gameplay, but due to the lack of time that I have, I was only able to do the guide. If you want to see me do a little bit of gameplay on it, just give me a holler through the comment section, and I will demonstrate on how to do this, or I'll make time to show you how to play this in actual PvP. This build works for ranked and unranked. It just takes a lot of skill. I mean, most of my other videos I do fairly easy, but for this video, a Shatter Mesmer is a harder video to make, just because Mesmer is just a harder class for me, and also in PvP because they're not the strongest class and they're not the most tankiest class either, so it takes a little bit of skill. That's why they have illusions to help them survive. Mesmers are really good for group fights when it comes to you're not being targeted and you're not the only one being targeted. You can stand from distance and attack and whatnot. So I hope you like this video. I wouldn't mind if you give this a like and subscribe. Thank you.